Okay, so I decided to change the topic for today because there's just a lot there's a lot going on right now, just this week, just too much. So I didn't want to have a really deep topic about colorism. I've been talking about that over the past couple of live streams, even randomly through some other live chats I've done. So I decided to change the topic to something else and just have more of an open discussion, talk about some things so that way this can be more of kind of a recap of some of the different things that I discuss on my channel. So I've talked about mystery shopping. I've talked about, obviously, jobs since I am a recruiter. And I oftentimes will do each week companies that are hiring as well. And there's been a lot of recent news. So I just wanted to have some time pretty much to just have a space, honestly, for myself to even talk out loud. Because as of this week, I know yesterday I didn't have too many people join. So I figured, if anything, I can at least get out some thoughts that I've been having and have it recorded. So that is kind of the point of the video. I did also notice that with StreamYard, which I have used mostly, now I'm using Restream. A big difference is that with StreamYard, I was able to change the time. So if I said, hey, I'm going to do a topic on this day, I could schedule it, and then if something came up, I could always change it later. With Restream, this platform is just a little different. It's similar, but it's different. And I couldn't just change the time. It was either just delete it or change the topic. So I decided to just go ahead and change the topic just because, again, there's just too much going on this week. I didn't feel like for myself I wanted to talk about colorism and the whole light skin, dark skin, and everything else because there's so many issues. There's just so much going on. So hello, King of Kill. Hi, DOD. Hey, Cassandra, how are you guys? And how's everybody doing? First off, before I even get into the discussion. King of Kill, you're starting an overnight shift. Okay, well, cool. Well, nice to see you in here. But yeah, how is everybody doing? Because I know for myself, it's been one of those just emotionally draining weeks. One video I shared came out about the Black man that was a veteran. And that video had already gotten to me. And then, the next video of another officer. And it's just it keeps happening. And it almost feels like at this point, I feel like I'm desensitized to a lot of this stuff. It's almost like I expected this to happen. It's almost disgusting in a way. So it's just a lot. So I was just like, I don't think I can have that all in my head and also have a topic on another deep subject. So I don't even know if the title actually officially changed. I hope it did. Let me even see on the channel. Or can you guys let me know, did the title even change? I hope it did, because it's interesting on my side. I know I changed the title of this video, but on my side, it still shows in Restream benefits and disadvantages of skin tone. So I just want to make it plain. That is not what I'm talking about today. I am going to make that for another day. It sounds like DOD is doing well. That's so good. I'm so glad to hear that. Cassandra says doing good. I'm glad to hear that too. You sound a little sad today. Yeah, it's just a lot that I've been thinking about. I don't want to say I'm sad. I just think I'm just a little disappointed and a little overwhelmed. And yeah, so just one of those weeks. But definitely hoping that, okay, good, it changed. Perfect. Whew. Yeah, because I don't want someone to join and be expecting something totally different. So, okay, you see why I stopped mystery shopping. Okay, perfect, because that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about just more random things, be open to questions, open to just talk with some folks. And then if anyone wants to join or talk about something, let me know. This is, again, the platform is different than StreamYard, but there is an option to invite guests. I haven't used it before, but it's the first time for everything, so I'm always happy to try it out. And hello, Paolindo. Welcome. Nice to see you. How are you doing, Paolindo? How's everything in Italy? And thank you so much, Cassandra. I hope so too. I was thinking when I made this, I was like, you know what? If anything, I'm going to talk some things out and maybe just talking will help. Paolindo saying, hi, my people. And Paolindo, you know what, always has a very upbeat and positive attitude too. I feel like everybody that joins the chat, Cassandra, Can't Kill, like DOD, there's so many other people that join these chats and they have a really positive vibe, and I love that. So I appreciate it. I think it's just been a lot. It's just a lot. So I think what I need to do this weekend is just go offline a bit and not. I typically don't watch a lot of news, but this week it's just been like everything's in front of your face. Like it's on social media, it's news, it's everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. So I think I'm just gonna step away from social media for a little bit, and then I think that will help me lift my spirits a little bit more. Oh my gosh, Paolindo, it is 2 a.m., 2:06 a.m. in Italy. Oh my goodness. I don't know how you stay up so late. Like, how do you do it? And how much sleep do you get, Paolindo? Oh my goodness. And everyone's saying hello to each other. So I will go ahead and get into one of the topics. If anyone is interested in talking about something else, just let me know. But I am going to start with, I'll just go ahead and start with the mystery shopping. And I don't know if everyone here knows, but I used to use a site called EPMS, Ellis Partners it's not mystery shopping, it's management solutions, I think. So Ellis Partners in Management Solutions. And this is a company that I found through a guy named Boyce Watkins. He is on YouTube a lot. I found out about him, I don't know, years ago, maybe 2015. And I started watching his channel because he talks a lot of finance topics, especially catered to the Black community. So Boyce Watkins has always been someone I follow. Even my mom, one day, she asked me randomly one day, she was like, who is that Black guy that you used to watch all the time? That bald guy? And I was just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then I thought about it for a second. I was like, oh, I know exactly who she's talking about, Boyce Watkins. Because yeah, his content is very, very focused on finance. He has a PhD in finance. He used to be on networks like, I don't know, NBC or CNBC, MSN. And that's where I first saw him. And he would talk about different financial topics. But now he's really heavy on YouTube, and he talks about a little bit of everything, but still focused on finance. And Paolo saying, you don't know why you stay up so late. But yeah, he focuses on finance, and I like it because it's very much catered to the Black community. And so I like those topics. So anyway, he was doing this video with another lady called Danielle Pierce, and she was sharing just different things you can do to earn money. Like, you don't need a degree, you don't need any special education, you just need pretty much internet, phone, computer, that sort of thing. And she shared about mystery shopping, and it was cool because every other time I would hear about mystery shopping, it was always, you have to spend the money first and then you get reimbursed for it. And so in my mind, I'm always like, spend my money and then you reimburse me. I don't know about that. So with them, they were really talking about, or Danielle Pierce was talking about this platform. She talked about a couple different options, but this one stuck with me because I was looking for an apartment at the time. And what she was sharing is that she used to actually work as an apartment mystery shopper. And that would bring in a couple $100 for her, just as many shops as she did. So she explained that. And I was like, well, I'm looking for apartments anyway. Let me check this out. Let me check out this company. And she seemed pretty legit. It was vetted out. So I was like, why not? So yeah, I tried it out. It was super easy to do. I've made a couple different videos on here about apartment mystery shopping, but it was cool for a while. You can make upwards to like $60 per shop. And you basically are just visiting apartments and acting like you're shopping for an apartment. And in my case, I actually was. So, yeah, you just do that. You record your findings, you answer questions, you submit a report. Those are questions that you answer and you get paid for it. So I did that for a while in 2019 and also 2020. A bit, but I decided to pause just because one, the pandemic, of course, but they also had virtual mystery shops, but I just felt like it wasn't a good use of my time to do those anymore. But it's super easy money. And I kind of lost the motivation to do it too. Before, when I first, started doing it, it was cool because I got to meet people. I got to see another area, of the city. I would get to understand a little bit more about the real estate environment, the pricing and all that stuff, see different mock-ups and, the decor of different apartments. But yeah, I decided not to do it just because I felt like I wasn't as into it anymore. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was a good worth of time if I don't really like it as much anymore. Cassandra said you're a part of that site. I need to get it cracked. I need to get cracking with it. I love to see money hit my PayPal bank account. Yes. That was a really good thing about it. You could really make easy money quickly. And so they would pay you monthly and it was direct deposit. So that was the great thing about it. And it was, it was once a month. So it'd be great if it was like a weekly thing, but it was once a month. But I think it's ideal, especially if you have a full-time job and you're just looking for a side hustle, because I always saw it as I always had this extra money that I could put in savings. And that really, my savings that year grew pretty quickly because I kept doing that, the mystery shopping. And it was pretty cool. And the pay rates in New York were actually better than the Midwest, of course. And then, of course, with New York, it's not like you're spending gas money. You're legit, you're taking the metro, you pay a metro pass anyway. It's a good deal. And then coming here to Dallas, I was really looking at some of the shops, ended up doing a virtual one, but I was just I don't really like doing it as much anymore. So who knows? I'm definitely going to keep, I still get emails and things from EPS. They're a great company. They're based here in Texas. And the customer service is awesome. Whenever I've had a question, they've been really quick. But for right now, I am going to continue holding off on doing that. But I'm still going to have them in my back pocket. I'm glad I did do it. It's a great, it's just awesome. Now, I am cautiously looking for real estate right now. So that once I get a little more motivated to really, right now the market's just crazy. So once I feel a little more motivated, this is happening, I might go back to mystery shopping just so I can get to know some of the areas, because you can pick specific areas that you want to complete mystery shops in. And of course, once things are a little more kosher with, being in close proximity to multiple people, because with mystery shopping, like how I would do it is I would spend the weekend. I would have already picked the shops. I would already done the call, because you have to call the apartment complex first, and then I would go visit over the weekend. I'd have them all lined up. So, so it's pretty good for me. You can definitely make a quick, easy couple $100 over the weekend. And then if you do it every weekend, because I didn't do it every weekend, out of a month, you can rack up some pretty good money that way. So I'm glad, Cassandra, you're signed up with them. Let me know how things go with that. So the other thing, well, one, Paola, no, definitely get some rest. You say you're not too tired. You're a night owl like me. Then if you're not too tired at 2 a.m. in the morning, for me, I'm always forcing myself to go to sleep at midnight. But I would think at around 2 a.m. I'd be pretty tired. I'd probably knocked out. But there are some occasional times where it's like 1 o'clock or 1:30, and I'm like, well, why can't I go to sleep? A part of it, though, is probably my phone. Like I will have my phone too much later in the night, and they say that does not help you because of the light from your phone and the light from like your computer screen and things like that. So they say give it an hour or two where you're not using your phone or your computer, because that'll help you. Because it's kind of like it's a simulation of sunlight. Like if we see sunlight, we're getting energy. We're not saying we're going to go to sleep. It's like dark, gloomy, rainy here in Dallas. So it's like that weather that makes you want to go to sleep. The sun was not out today as far as I could tell. And it's a little colder. Well, chilly. It's not really cold. And so it does make you go to sleep. So like tonight, I bet I would have a really good sleep. So I don't know. Paola, no. I definitely can't imagine, though, at 2 a.m. I'd be still up, but I'm glad you're here with me. And you have already eaten your dinner, so you're not like hungry and talking about dinner time either. So what was the next topic I wanted to discuss? Let me see. Oh, yes. So, well, one, I did want to highlight, let me pull this up here. I wanted to highlight a couple of different stories that are not, the sad ones. I wanted to kind of highlight some of the things that are happening. And then I also wanted to talk about some companies that I have seen hiring as of late. So just wanted to kind of do a quick spotlight. I will probably be making a video about who's hiring over this weekend, maybe, but it won't be coming through this week. So just gonna put that out there. So let me see here. So if I can find it. Okay. So some of the trending topics I was seeing was, one, definitely the whole robots. I'm continuing to see, at least, again, I use a lot of LinkedIn news because it pulls from all the different media outlets. So I have been seeing the trend continue with the robots. Like there's a lot of news about that. So again, we saw it with the pizza delivery service bot, Neuro, and then we're seeing it with Kroger, as well as a few other companies. And then the other thing that a lot of people are talking about right now is the whole, returning to work and returning to offices, and whether you need to, like, you're going to be forced, or if a company is going to force you to come back to the office. And obviously the key thing to that is to get the vaccine to come to the office. So I could definitely understand healthcare industry, but there's definitely that conversation about, okay, well, what if I don't need to really come to the office? Like, do I get a choice, or a company is just going to say, you have to get this vaccine and we need you in the office? So that's been interesting to really see. A lot of companies are still trying to figure out their plan of like when they even have employees in the office. What's the plan? Everyone obviously can't just come back all at once. They would need to, space things out, give fair notice to people. So that's something else that I've been seeing. So I don't know if folks in the chat, like I know King of Kill, he's already he's working, but have your workplaces or have your employers told you, hey, you have to take the vaccine, like you have to take the vaccine or you have to be back on site by a certain date, or are some of you guys working remotely? And if you're watching this playback, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm just curious to hear what people are saying, because I'm seeing more and more conversation about that. And I think I mentioned before, a lot of employees are saying like, nope, I'm not coming back. If you want me to keep working, like I've been working over a year, and I've been doing just fine. So, and then there are a lot of companies, especially the IT companies, that are, they're hiring and they're saying like, hey, you can work remotely. So whatever. Right. So the next thing I saw in the news was interesting, because I've shared some of these companies' jobs. So Amazon, they are, they're huge. They're always hiring, whether in their corporate spaces or most likely in their warehouses. And there's always been this question of what's the work life, like, what is it like to work at Amazon? And I have heard a lot that they overwork the employees. It's not the best place to work. But then I've also heard from some in the corporate spaces where they say like, oh, it's fine. It's a cool company, whatever. But an article came out today where Jeff Bezos is actually talking about to the shareholders. He sends a letter to the shareholders, and he's actually acknowledging the fact that they need to do better as a company to the employees. And it's interesting because I've always heard this and I've always questioned it, but I've never worked at Amazon myself, so I can't say personally. But at the same time, it was pointed out that Jeff Bezos pushed back on different reports that come out about the company, where they were saying that Amazon treats employees poorly and sets unreasonable performance goals, and also saying 94% of fulfillment center employees would recommend working at Amazon to a friend, like saying that, hey, people will recommend Amazon to a friend. Well, yeah, if they're working in the warehouse, like when did that go out? Like what kind of survey was that? Did it go out in 2020 when a lot of people didn't have jobs? And are the people working in the warehouse, like most likely they are going to refer their friend, like if they need a job. So I was like, okay, that's a little suspicious, a little suspect. I have questions. But it sounds like that Amazon will be moving into really focusing on employee well-being and safety, which is a good thing. I talk about on my channel, I just did a video about, if you're interviewing for a production operator job, a lot of the good companies you want to work with, they have a focus on safety. So you should be able to talk about why safety is important, whose responsibility it is, and blah, blah, blah. But they're also investing in new technology to reach a zero carbon economy. And I already talked about too with Amazon, they're also they've been heavily investing in artificial intelligence as well. So I'm interested to see what type of technology they're going to be using to help with their carbon footprint. And I can imagine, because if you're going to say we're going to help, the well-being of our employees, you guys know in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, that means you're going to have to offset some of the work and have it a little more balanced. I bet they are going to implement some new technologies so that he is able, his team, right, leadership team, managers are able to provide a more relaxed, workplace, safer workplace, things like that. So I don't know. Let me know if you have thoughts on that. Cassandra says, you wouldn't be against the law to force individuals. Wouldn't that be against the law to force individuals to take the vaccination? There is a lot of hype going on now, especially with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Exactly. So, I think the biggest thing is probably going to depend on your industry, because I do think companies will be able to make the case. For example, healthcare workers. If you work in the healthcare field, you can be mandated to take the flu vaccine, for example. But if you are in a space where it's not crucial to your job to take the vaccine, as of today, I can't see companies doing that. But at the same time, if let's say it doesn't directly impact you, but maybe you need to travel for the company, and all the airlines are saying you have to have the vaccine to board, I don't know, Southwest or Delta Airlines or all the airlines, right? Well, in that case, I could see the company then mandating, unless, now here's the thing, because this has been something that has been pretty much a constant in workplaces. If you have like a religious reasoning, or if you have allergies to the vaccine, like the actual material they're using to make the vaccine, because that actually happens. There are some people that are allergic to certain things that they put into these different vaccines and drugs and et cetera. So, me personally, I don't think it's right to mandate that sort of thing because, again, like it could be against someone's religious beliefs. People could just simply not trust, the vaccine, especially since it's not fully approved. And, to your point, Cassandra, bringing up what happened with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Now, I don't know all the details of today I was actually listening and they were saying that there's a specific group of people that it affects, which actually would probably be me and you, Cassandra. It affects women, particularly from the age of 18 to I think 40 or 45 or something. So if you're a woman in that age group, why would you have to get any vaccine? Because if, as a woman, I'm like, okay, well, I'm looking at the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but then now I'm also thinking about the AstraZeneca vaccine that was also recalled in, I think, Germany because of blood clots. What if you had a problem with blood clots, like in your family history? Or what if that just didn't sit well with you and you're now questioning all of the vaccines? So I think that's pretty interesting. I think it will just depend on how far this goes. There are some countries, like I was seeing a story about Israel, how it pretty much is getting to that point where you have to have the vaccine. So I got to look more into that because I'm just like, how? It's getting scary. It's almost getting how for my mom, she used to tell me about, the end of days and all of this, and you have to get the mark at the end of days. And so it's almost like biblical in a way. And you guys know I'm not super, I don't get into heavy religious topics or anything. But yeah, so they've been rolling out the vaccine in Israel. And it seems like they have herd immunity. What's interesting though, as I did hear a doctor explaining what would potentially happen is that he said if 70%, let's say 70% of people got the vaccine, the rest of the population that didn't, they would still build immunity to the cough, the Rona. They would still build the immunity, and you could still achieve that herd immunity, which would then basically the cough would disappear. You remember we heard Trump say a lot of the time, he would say, it's just going to disappear. And it's interesting to hear this doctor say, yeah, it's just going to disappear. And it's like, okay, okay, right. So we'll see what happens, of course. We're just going to see. Let me see here. Yes, totally agree about some industries having to take it. Right. So healthcare, obviously, but I do not, I think I'm afraid of government getting in the picture and saying you all have to take it. But if every company says you have to take the vaccine to come to our businesses, I think that's going to be pretty much saying you can't do anything without getting the vaccine. It's pretty much the same thing as the government saying you can't, you got to get the vaccine. How else are you really going to function in this world today? Unless you have the money of, say, I don't know, Steve Harvey or Jay-Z and Beyonce or Jeff Bezos. Is that how you pronounce his last name? Bezos, whatever. To just, kind of manage everything your own or have everybody else do everything for you. And then you don't have to. I did see Marjorie Harvey apparently got the vaccination herself. So we're just going to see. I just want to see what happens with it, to be honest. Excuse the typos if I'm Cassandra, I totally get it. I like half the time when I'm typing, my phone, obviously, autocorrect and everything, and it's just like, that is not what I was trying to say. Thanks, phone. King of Kill says, my brother delivers for Amazon and he loves it. That's because Amazon rents out their vans to smaller companies, so you technically work for the small company. Okay, so that would be different. So that would mean that a lot of times with that they have their own separate policies then, so the culture will probably look different. So I could see that for sure. And some people may have a positive experience. Like typically you don't see many workplaces where everybody's unhappy. A lot of times it might be your specific function or group or team or whatever because of the management of that specific group. So it's not often where you see just the whole company is just terrible and everyone's you do see it sometimes, but it's not typically it's not typically the case, right? Okay, so let me just look at one more thing. Because I think I missed some comments. Oh, hey, Sharky is in here. Welcome in here, Sharky. Nice to see you. Yes, I totally agree about some, right. Yep, I agree with that as well. King of Kill said, it's okay, Cassandra, we know you're intelligent. Yes, she definitely is. And she's an educator. So she is definitely a smart lady. Rice and Beans, hey, how's it going? And how are you feeling? How's everything going? And Sharky, I didn't ask you, how are you feeling? How are you feeling this week? A lot is going on this week. What are my thoughts on commission careers like real estate agent? In one sense, I like the idea of unlimited income, but on the other hand, why would I have to scrape for every dollar unlike salaried people? That's a great question, Rice and Beans. So I'll give you my perspective on that. I think commission jobs can be great, especially if, so a few things to consider about commission jobs though. So one, you bring up a great point. Your pay is very sporadic. You're not going to be making the same pay every single month. So you have to be really, really good at budgeting. Like 1 month you may be making 40, 50,000, and then the next month you may only make 10,000 or you may make nothing, like in a role like real estate or any type of sales jobs, depending on how the sales works. Some sales jobs, you can have a base pay, even some recruiter jobs. I worked in a recruiter job, actually my first recruiter job, where I had a base pay, which wasn't very high, but then I would have bonuses for each hire I got. So my total compensation, well, actually my total pay, because I'm not counting full compensation, was, higher than my base, of course. So it made it worth it. But when you're fully 100% commission, that's tough and you really have to have the mindset. I don't know if I would recommend it to someone that's okay, here's who I would recommend it to. I think I would recommend trying a 100% commission-based job for someone that has a really nice savings. Maybe they have 6 months to a year of expenses saved up to where they can afford to have those fluctuations in pay. I would also recommend it to someone that's really good with managing their money and budgeting and can, deal with those ebbs and flows in their pay. I would also recommend it for someone that's maybe in college or getting out of college, recent graduate, and they don't actually have a lot of expenses. Like maybe they're staying at home, or maybe for someone that's a spouse, maybe your wife works full time and you've had that discussion of like, hey, I'm moving into real estate. You're going to be the sole provider for a while until I get up and running. Or it's the wife that's, doing real estate. That happens more often. So the wife is like, okay, I'm going to try this real estate thing. Okay, funny story I have to tell you guys. But that's who I would recommend it to. I wouldn't recommend it to maybe a guy that has, 3 kids, a wife, and he's the sole provider, and he's just about to jump into real estate full time. Now, if they were saying they were going to do it part-time and have a full-time job, I think that's great because you have a steady income and then you also can ease into real estate. And once you feel more comfortable and once you're bringing in significant income, you build up a savings, you have, a good budget plan, then you could move into that, 100%. Obviously, connecting with your wife or vice versa, wife connecting with husband, and then you can move into that. I actually explored real estate, really weird story. So I was at a bar local to St. Louis, and it was I lived in a nice area. So it was 5 minutes from my apartment complex. And this guy, he was across the bar. So it was one of those square things. So a square bar. So it's one side and then you could sit on the other side and then the staff are in the middle making the drinks and all the stuff. So this guy kept looking at me and smiling. And I was like, what is going on with that guy? And it was an older gentleman. I'm like, what is going on? And I smile naturally. I smile at everybody. If I'm out, I smile. You guys know, I'm on camera and I'm smiling at normally, unless I'm like this and I'm trying to figure out something. So anyway, he was waving at me to come over. And I was like, you guys know this about me too. I can be a little I don't know if I want to call it stubborn, but I can be a little stubborn. And so I was like, And so I told him to come over here if he wants to talk to me. I just waved him over. But I talked to the waitress first and I was like, hey, who's that man? And she laughed and she was like, he's fine. He's a really cool guy. He comes here all the time. And I was like, okay, cool. So I talked to her and then I was like, yeah. And so he came over, brought his drink over and everything. And so we got to talking. He was he asked me some random questions and he was like, why don't you have a boyfriend? I was like, I don't have a boyfriend, which I didn't. And this guy was like, would I date him? It was just a really, really random conversation. Anyway, fast forward, we started talking about, because he was like, what do you do? And I was like, well, I do this. And no, he didn't ask me what I did. He asked me why I was at the bar, out by myself. And I was like, well, I came in here to get a quick salad. I didn't have time for dinner, but I'm going to this real estate event that was literally in the area. So I was I thought I would just come here because I didn't want to go home right after work. It was at maybe 6 o'clock or something. And so I didn't want to go home because I knew a lot of times if I went home, I would talk myself into being I can just stay here, whatever, especially for it was my first time going to a real estate function. So anyway, he and I started talking about the real estate thing. And he was like, are you really interested? If you're interested, I have a contact for you. And so he gives me this contact. And it's a lady. I end up exploring it. I forget the branch. It was one of the really big realty firms. I'm blanking on the name, but it was one of the subsidiaries of it. And I meet with this lady. She's cool, an older lady. And then I meet with another one. And they're they both looked at me and they were well, it can take you a while to get started. Our program is this and this. You would, it's better if you do it full time and you learn. We give you all the training to get started. And then they asked me so are you married? And I was like, no. Oh, and they're like, do you have a boyfriend? And I was and so I just said, yeah. I was like, yeah. Because before that they said it's really difficult if you're your sole provider or whatever. And so they were like, oh, okay, well, you can do this or whatever. See if they can help you get started, talk about it. And I was just it was very overwhelming. They gave me a lot of information, but at the end of the day, they were saying for the first 5 months, expect to really not make any money. You can, but it's very likely that you're not going to make any money. But then they were also you can make money easy. This one girl, and they showed me this blonde lady in this booklet, and they were yeah, she made money. This guy saw her in the booklet, And he knew he was going to buy this house, and he called her, and she like made whatever thousands of dollars. And I was just like, well, that's cool. I doubt that's really going to happen a lot of time, but it was just an interesting conversation. It was just like a totally different world for me. I decided like, I'm not doing this. Plus I was like, I'm not like, that's a different scenario for me. So rice and beans kind of got me on a tangent there, but I hope I answered your question. And for those of you that did not ask that question, I hope you enjoyed the story time, but it was just really random. By the way, that guy, he like was retired. He didn't do anything. He sold a business, and he literally just like was living his life traveling, and apparently, I guess, hitting on random women that were like half his age. Very weird. Hey, Donna Ree Love. Nice to see you. How are you? How are things going for you? How are you feeling this week? Super Touchdown Entertainment says, I have a journalist voice. Interesting. Well, maybe I could have been a journalist in another life. Maybe I can be a journalist one day. I don't think I would want that job though. That's too much. I don't know if I'd be good at spinning stories. Like up the live, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, hopefully that's a good voice though. Hopefully the audio is coming across pretty nicely. But yeah, I don't think I could work in journalism. Unless I could do the weather. I love doing the weather. That seems like the easiest job ever. Because you can't get mad at whether men or women, because it's never an absolute. It's like there's a chance of rain. There's a chance this might happen. We might see some da-da-da in the forecast. And then if it doesn't happen, it's just like, it was a forecast. Sharky is saying, I absolutely believe companies can and should mandate vaccination as a condition of a new or continued employment. I do not want to work with people who may have it nor wear masks for the next 5 years. I get what you're saying. I think, so for me personally, I do not think this is the time to mandate a vaccination. I think once it has been fully vetted and we're not seeing multiple stories of like the fact that they said to pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, that's a lot. So for me, I think people just maybe need more time and more education, because when it comes to like, when you think of drugs, hopefully I'm not dinged for saying that word, but there's always, I go back to like looking at an ad and there's all of these different, like it could cause 50 million other things, and then it solves this one issue. And then I also have seen many of the cases for an ad where a legal firm is going, hey, did you get the blah, blah, blah drug in 2011? Well, you may qualify for it. And it's just like, oh my gosh, now what does that thing cost? So I think a lot of people just need time, especially because, there's a big population of people that just don't trust modern day medicine. There's another part of the population that just does not trust how quickly things were done. There's another part of the population that has strong religious beliefs against vaccination. And then there's another part of the population that just has, like many Black people, even a history of trauma when it comes to the healthcare system. Like we see, I saw on Pandy's Hair Care More channel. Let me see if I can put her in the comments, but Pandy's Hair Care More, or maybe Sharky, or if Donna Relove, I think we're all connected to Pandy, but Pandy's Hair Care More, she put out a video where she actually put out a stat that said basically, I think 50%, it was a 50% split, like one for every, I'm probably going to totally mess up this stat, but it was a large percentage of Black babies, Black infants that died, during childbirth compared to white babies. And so you hear different studies like that in the healthcare field. And I just don't trust it. It's like, I know as we get more information though, that will probably help people. So for me, I think when it comes to healthcare, unless it's a direct, it's a field like healthcare or some other field where you're mandated to be around people, like, airline industry, for example, you're going to come in contact with many people. But I think if you're in an industry where you really don't need to be in an office, you should have that choice. Like, you should have that choice of maybe you get the vaccination and you can come to the office, or if you decide not to get the vaccination, you're not able to come to the office for whatever percentage, or you have to wear a mask when you come to the office or something like that. I think there can be guidelines where it's a balanced approach, just knowing the sensitivities around it in our population. And I think population around the world, but America is the free country. In a lot of other countries, like I know Australia, it will be a lot tougher for people to be like, I'm not doing it. It's not the same. It's not the same thing. Super Touchdown Entertainment says you won't take it. Okay. So you're saying it's a mark of the beast 666. Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I won't go as far as to say that. Super Touchdown Entertainment, but it definitely seems very reminiscent of, when you read the Bible and you're reading it in Revelations and you're hearing about, you would need this to go anywhere, do anything, buy and sell. So it's definitely biblical. It reminiscent of a lot of things that we saw in the Bible, for sure. Thank you, Sharky. Sharky says it's Jeff Bezos. So Jeff Bezos. It sounds as weird as he... Oh my gosh. It sounds as weird as he looks. Oh my goodness. How old is Jeff Bezos? Let me look up how old he is. But he is an older man, so I mean, he's probably going to look a little different. I don't think it looks bad. I think he just makes weird faces. Like, I think every picture of him is just weird. Him making a weird face. I don't know why. I don't know if people are just catching him at a weird time. Like, you go to the DMV and you have to get a new picture for your license, and it's like they never get the picture right. It's like I was smiling perfectly just now. You're like doing this. And you have a moment where you're like, well, dang, are you taking the picture or not? And then that's when they take the picture. It's like, are you taking it or not? Like, let me know something. And then they take the picture. Or your passport photo, right? My passport photo, I do not like it at all. But it was like they said, you can't smile. You got to do all this stuff. Like, you can't have your hair in front of your face. Your hair's got to be pulled back and all this stuff. So whatever. Tangent, I know. On a tangent. But I thought that was funny, Sharky. Yeah, if you guys if you just search Jeff Bezos in the images, or we can do it right now if anyone's interested in that. But if you go search the images, I'm doing it. He makes some weird faces. Donnery Love, that's good. I hope you're doing well, Donnery. Rentals, Sharky said rentals are the fastest and easiest way to make money in real estate when you start. And even after that, it takes longer to build up to the point of getting listings. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I would agree with that. Having open houses, closings, etc. Yeah, and I can imagine, that process can take a lot longer. But I mean, I feel like it could be a really good time to get into the real estate market, because it's like, everyone's buying, companies are buying, people are buying. So it could be really good, especially single family homes. So it's like the booming industry right there. I can work from home, me personally speaking. Yay. Okay, good. I do the same thing. I work from home. I guess, I guess I just feel for the people that don't really have that option. But at the same time, I feel like you can always learn something different and, upskill, get a different skill, and then take some time to move. This is the time to do it. If you're looking to upskill, or you're not sure if you want to do a job, I think this is a great time to make a shift. A lot of things are paused right now. It's not like you have as many real distractions as far as like going to events, traveling, and those expectations of like, come to this and come to that. everyone's birthday party, everyone's this, everyone's that. So you can definitely make good use of the extra time you might have. And then the other end of that, interest rates are still pretty low. So you can invest in yourself pretty well. And then, everything's pretty much virtual anyway. So you can do a lot of virtual trainings and you don't have to go to the classroom. So it could be a good time to upskill too, if for anyone that maybe can't work from home, or I know I share some content sometimes for people that work in warehouses and factories. And I know that's like you have to be on site to make your money. So it can be tough for those that aren't. King of Kill says, I don't think a countrywide vaccine mandate is possible in America. I hope not. I really hope not. I don't know. Like, I just, there's a fine line between, like, once you say they can mandate this, it's pretty tough. But at the same time, the government already mandates vaccines too. You can't like put your kids to school without them having, appropriate vaccinations, like those mandatory vaccinations, right? So, or you providing like, certain documentation about religious beliefs and things. But I think even in those cases, you have to have certain vaccinations. At least that was my understanding. I don't know if anyone, Cassandra might know, you may know since you work in education, but yeah, I think that's the scary thing, is the thought of a government saying you now are forced to do this. It makes me think of, what is the book called? Let me look it up. It's by George Orwell. I read that one time and it was just scary. It was very creepy. 1984. I need to actually purchase that book. Yeah, I need to purchase that book because it's really awesome. But it does get you, like when I see on social media, Twitter, Facebook, all these different platforms blocking people and saying you can't say certain things, I'm kind of torn, because it's like, where do you draw the line of what people can say and what they can't say? And, we're supposed to have freedom of speech. So I think it's interesting. But I do feel like, when some of those platforms do get very stringent, there pops up another platform like Clubhouse or something where you don't have those as many constraints. And then you do the whole cycle again and it gets regulated more, and then you find something else to go to. So I think it is important to have free speech. Like if, I think a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with this, but, they did tell Trump he couldn't, I think it was Twitter, and they had, him in a place where he couldn't say anything, which I can understand. I can understand. But at the same time, it's like, oh, so you can do this to the president, you could do this to anybody. So it's like you can't have one without the other. So if they're able to do one thing, then they can do other stuff too. So I would like to think that we can't do the mandate in America, but I don't know. I think there are a lot of people that have gotten away from kind of thinking about the basic rights that we have in the country and making sure that we hold on to those no matter what. And in a time where everyone's really scared, it's really easy to take away little freedoms, because I don't think 2 years ago, I don't think we definitely wouldn't have been like, we're going to wear masks everywhere. We're going to, do this and that. We're going to want a vaccine mandate. We're going to ask you for a vaccine mandate. Like, we're going to ask you for the vaccine. Like, I don't think we would have been in that place. But when you get people to a point where they're scared, they're unstable, they've been through trauma, yeah, people may change. You give away some of your liberties. That's just my perspective. That's what I think. Obviously, you guys know I'm not like an extremist on one end or the other, but I try to see a balanced approach. I try to see both sides of the equation as much as I can. King of Kill says, I'm sure religious people thought the MMR vaccines were the mark of the beast. I don't take them too seriously. Yeah. I mean, it's, I feel like there is some truth in everything. So, I mean, I do think everything that has a beginning will have an end. So who knows how things will end, but I do believe that. Like, it's circle life, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end. So I do believe that just because it is nature. It's like, when you look at nature, you look at people, we're all part of this earth, we're part of nature. Everything has a beginning, everything has an end. But there's a lot of different stories of the creation and what the ending will be. So it's very interesting. Let's see here. Donna Ree says, thanks, Doc. Donna Ree, you're all about the love, literally. Oh, I love that. Sharky. King Aquila saying, I don't mind when these private companies censor people as long as the government can't. Interesting point. Yeah, I think it's a different response for sure when it's the government telling you have to do something. Because with companies, you basically can just say, well, I'm not going to do this. And then typically, like I was saying about the Facebook and, social media platforms, typically another one will see what the customer actually wants and what they don't want. And they'll say, hey, over here, you don't have to, you don't have to. But I could see a separation happening, though, like the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. And that, like, this country's already so divisive. And I'm just like, oh, my gosh, please, not another thing, like not another thing that can. So I don't know. It's a lot to really think about and digest, to be honest with you. And I get your point, King and Kill. I get it, because it definitely is. It's a different response when the government is telling you have to do something. But at the same time, the government pretty much says you have to, there's a lot of government regulations. Like you have to wear a seatbelt, when you're driving, you have to carry your license, you have to do da 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 da. You have to pay taxes. You got to pay taxes. Well, some people, right? Some people have to pay taxes. Some people don't. But for the most part, the majority has to pay some type of tax at some point, like whether it's personal, income tax or property tax or whatever. They paying some tax somewhere in their life. But yeah, no, that's a good perspective, a good thought, King Kill. Cassandra is saying, I work in higher education and students do have to provide proof of their immunization. There you go. See, so we already have to have our kids, well, I say my imaginary kids. We have to have our kids, provide that immunization record, right? So this is not too much different than that, but it's just the newness of it, the quickness of it with, the vaccines that the kids are getting to go to school, they've been around for years, right? So you're comfortable with them. You've seen that people are fine and you don't see people passing out in the street. You don't see these, videos of, oh, I got the vaccine and now I got headache and I passed out and this and that, or someone got a blood clot and they died. And you don't see those articles. So that doesn't really help the case. I think, again, the more educated people are and a little more time pass, more people might be, more comfortable with it. And we'll just go ahead and get it. And then again, to the point that I made earlier with the doctors, I recorded the video. Let me see if I can find it real quick so I can just note the source, just so I'm not like, you guys know, I like to tell you the source because I know I screen recorded it. Because I was going to do a video. Okay, here it is. So
even after you had the infection. So the good news is herd immunity is around the corner. Britain thinks it's going to be vis-a-vis their formulas occurring next week, actually. And that means that over 70 to 80% of the population needs to either have been infected or have gotten the vaccine to achieve herd immunity, which means then the virus is basically going to disappear for the most part for most of the population.
Yeah, so I took a screen recording of that video. That was CBSN, and that was just like a live. They had this doctor come on and just talk about the cough, and and he basically said that he was like, hey, if you've gotten the vaccine, percentage of the population gotten the vaccine or have had the cough, you would essentially have that herd immunity, and it would virtually just, for the most part, disappear. So yeah, And again, you remember Trump was saying that all the time. He was like, it's just gonna disappear, and yada yada. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's where he was getting it from. Hey Vern, how are you? How are you doing this week? I was saying at the beginning of the video, there's a lot going on this week, so I changed my topic in light of that. So what is going on? How are you feeling? And that goes to everybody. I hope everyone is doing okay. All right, so what was my next topic? Let me go back and see. Because you guys, okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, so I will skip to work life. And then I'm gonna answer Vern's question. So Vern says, my question is, what if you don't take the second shot? Yeah, because I think they were saying there was a timeline that you're supposed to take it, but then, yeah, what if you don't take it in the timeline? And aren't most of them you have to take them again after 6 months or something, after a certain time period? So, yeah, I don't know. Because technically, I think you do have to have both, the full vaccination to get your card, right? Has anyone gotten the vaccination and know the process? Like, I think you have to get the first one and then get the second one. I think the Johnson & Johnson was the only one that said you only needed the one shot. So I think you would need to get both to be fully vaccinated, right? Cassandra said, ooh, Vern, that's a good question, right? And I would wonder too, what happens to your body? Because essentially, the reason why that doctor was saying, either you have these, large percentage of the population have the vaccine, or they've been affected because you have those antibodies. So you have those antibodies already, because with the vaccine, like with the flu vaccine, they're just injecting the flu into, that's why I never got the flu vaccine. Because I was like, well, why? And I don't think I officially had the flu ever. So the one time I did have flu symptoms, I was doing the keto diet, and I think it might have been keto flu, because they say you have those symptoms. But other than that, I had never had the flu before, and I had never gotten a vaccine because my mom is very extremely religious, Christian religion, Southern, like Baptist religion. And so I'm just lucky that I got the regular vaccines. But yeah, she was like, with an optional vaccine, she was like, no, we're not doing this. You don't need this. And I don't think she's ever gotten it. Actually, no. I'm not sure if she's gotten a vaccine, because my mom actually used to work in healthcare. So I don't know if she might have gotten it. But yeah, she doesn't really fully trust the healthcare system either. So maybe that's where I got it. Doesn't help if your parents don't trust it. Then, the kids probably aren't going to trust it so much either. So Vern has the tea. So Vern says, I heard through the grapevine that some people still tested positive after taking the shot. I have heard that too. I've seen a couple of stories that said that. And even I saw one lady post that she caught the cough after getting her vaccine. So again, you see these stories that don't really influence you to go get the vaccine, because it's like, okay, well, if they tell you that you still need to wear a mask around people generally, you're going to have to get it again, in 6 months anyway, or whatever the time period is, you still may test positive, or you could potentially still get it, just like the flu vaccine, right? The flu vaccine, you could still, I don't know, you can still get that. Still get the flu. Like, I've heard plenty of people say they get the flu vaccine, they still get the flu. So I don't know. I think there needs to be more testing. I think there needs to be more education, because we went from last year no one knowing anything, and then us kind of figuring it out, and you hearing a lot of misinformation or information that changed and it changed again and it changed again. So I think that's really what we're coming from, is like, okay, well, what's going to happen with this? We need to see what happens. And that's how I am. I'm like, I'm not really trying to be the experiment. I'm not trying to be in that herd of people where you're like, let's see what happens to them and See how they do. No, let's get the brave ones that want to try it out for us. Let's see what happens. And then, for me, I will wait as long as I possibly can. So if I don't need to, but I think it may here's the thing, if there is some type of plan, everyone needs to get this, vaccination. There's a lot of money invested in biotech, which is vaccines, and other drugs. Well, if there's this ultimate plan that everyone gets this, then things are going to get very uncomfortable if you don't have it. So I don't really know what to say to that. Cassandra says, Vern, I heard the same thing. The tea. Okay. Sharky says, I believe Jessica's answer is the right one. In terms of getting the card, from a health perspective, it just means you've only halfway completed it, but it's better than no shot. Yeah. It's like you don't have the full thing. You've started it. But then the other thing is, I don't know what the time frame is either. So what's the time frame of how long can you go to get that second one, right? And then can you get the cough in between that time? It's just, I don't know. It's too many questions. If I have this many questions, then it's probably a no. It's kind of like if I wanted to purchase a house, but I had 15 million questions, or if I wanted to join a new company and I had 20 questions that I still need to get answered. Well, I probably don't need to take this job if I don't know these things and I can't find out until I start or something, or until I start the job. That's not something I want to do. So I'm going to shift over to talking about, but if you have other comments, please do keep chatting in the comment section. I'm happy to talk further about the vaccine, because I'm interested to learning more and, seeing what happens with people. So I gave some news. When was that? Monday, I think? Monday. Yeah, so I gave the news that I started a new job, and yay. So I started a new job, and it's night and day. I basically moved from a corporate environment to an environment that's very just open, more diverse actually in some ways, but still has some work to do, but has what seems like a good culture. Only time will tell. It's my first week, right? But I wanted to take a minute to just kind of talk about work experience, and this is bothering me. I need to pick up something. Just to talk about work experience for me as a, Black woman, as a woman, and then also as working in HR. And that was a part of why I was kind of saying, yeah, if anything, this live can be a space where I can just talk and get stuff off my chest. So you guys know a big passion point of mine is, I definitely want to focus on diversity in a lot of different areas. Obviously, ethnic diversity. You guys know veterans, that's a big passion point of mine. And then also just general, I want workspaces to just look more representative of our communities, right? Every day, you go outside, you go to the store, who do you see? So, I don't know, I've constantly had struggles with talking about with different teams, the importance of diversity and really showing and highlighting these are the benefits of having diverse teams. And one of my biggest challenges is as a recruiter, I get really passionate about certain candidates. I'm just yes, this person is perfect. The team is going to love them. And when they're a diverse, person, especially Black women, Black men, but then other groups too, if it's Hispanic, Asian, all of these, if you typically go to general workspaces outside of maybe IT, you're not going to see too much diversity in a lot of different spaces. Slowly, But a big challenge is mine of like when you present someone and the only feedback they can really give me, it's like they're not a culture fit, or there's a like maybe they nitpick on one thing, and it's like this battle of just like, but we just hired this other person and they also weren't perfect. Like you're not going to find the perfect person to fill a role. So I have challenges with that. I'm really hopeful about this new environment. I know they have a lot of D&I goals, and I just really want to do well. I want to really impact and make change, and I want to be able to hire a lot of different diverse talent. I struggle with a bias of my own. Like, of course, if it's someone that looks like me, I'm like, yes, yes, you got this. Like, you're in there. But I try to really balance that and be really, open to everyone. Obviously, if it's a white man, if it's a Asian man, if it's a, I don't know, white woman, black woman, all of that. But then also personally, it's like, yes, yes, a black person. I'm like, yes, we're hiring another one. So I really have to balance that. But at the same time, I'm always, trying to figure out what's the best way to, one, hire more diverse people, but then also make sure that they are comfortable, make sure they actually are retained. So like in the HR space, that's always a big issue, is like making sure they feel included and make sure that they do really well, make sure they really are the best fit for the job and for the company and everything. So those are some of my thoughts right now, are just thinking back to some of my struggles as a Black woman working in different spaces. Like I've had people, you guys know, tell me like I came off as mean because I wasn't smiling the whole time during the meeting. And like just certain things that like as a woman, you can do certain things and it just comes off differently, but a man can do certain things and it's like, yeah, they're being a man, they're being, assertive and da 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 da. So it's very interesting to me. But all that to say, like I'm kind of rambling, but just a lot of different thoughts floating through my head as I started with a new company. Like I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the culture like? How do I work with certain people? Everyone's being really inclusive and friendly, but I'm also thinking about like past experience and then like and things that have gone haywire and wrong, and feedback that I've heard and things that I've heard different people say. And I'm trying not to bring that with me to the new company. While at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I do need to bring some of that because those are all learnings that I had. And I've learned how to more and more work with different types of people. So we'll see how things go. I'm pretty excited because it's a different industry that I haven't worked in before. And so I'm super excited. But at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of, someone asked me, I think it was King of Kill, was I nervous during the interview process? I wasn't really nervous during the interview process. I think for me, more of my nervousness comes when I actually start as a job, because I'm like anxious to get started. And it's like that period of time where you're just kind of like, you're learning a lot, you're meeting a lot of people, but you haven't done anything yet. And it's just like, okay, I want to do really well. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. But obviously you have to spend some time to onboard and learn and take advantage of all that. So anyway, just a couple of thoughts there. Sharky is saying, my mom and her husband both got both doses of the Pfizer shots. Now, I will say, if for any of them, sorry, I have something in my eye. For any of the vaccines, I would personally trust Pfizer maybe a little bit more. My goodness, I hope now that I've said that, we don't see a story about Pfizer. But I've actually owned stock in Pfizer because I saw the company. I thought it was a relatively positive company with some decent leadership and all those things. And I sold on a high, but I might buy back in at some point. They're one of those like pretty solid companies that that I would say it's good to have in a portfolio. But yeah, I mean, I see them as a pretty legit company. And okay, so Sharky says they're doing fine. I am very relieved because she's 79 and has pre-existing conditions. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so glad she's doing okay. Keep us posted on how she's doing. And oh my gosh, your mom is 79. A hand clap for that. Like, put a hand clap to that. Oh my goodness. Love that. The golden age. Yes. And I hope your mom and her husband both, continue to do fine and thrive as well. That is amazing. Yeah. I think in that case, like if you have a pre-existing condition, it would probably make more sense to go ahead and get the vaccine because it's like, it would probably hinder you more at the potential of getting this thing, that has been going around. So, but I feel like for the majority of people though, that are relatively healthy, the rates that I saw, the last time I saw some of the rates, the actual death rates, they were not significant. Like, yeah, you go to the hospital, you get better. Like, yeah, unless you have a pre-existing condition. So for most people that are relatively healthy and they don't have pre-existing conditions, when they were saying like the people with, that are older with pre-existing conditions and stuff, I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. They need to get it first. All these other folks, they have a better chance of recovering. So I was a little surprised at how a lot of the celebrities were able to get the vaccination. I'm like, do you have a pre-existing condition? Like younger too. I'm just like, okay. But yeah, other people are saying they can't get the vaccine yet. So it's interesting. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Cassandra. I really appreciate you saying that. I appreciate it. And I will say sometimes, like, especially thinking about the work I do feel like I need the motivation sometimes because being a recruiter that is of a diverse background and you have this passion for diversity, it can be challenging. I think it can be challenging anyway, especially for Black people that work in the corporate spaces generally, because, there's so much going on in the world. And then we also have to deal with things like microaggressions and unfair treatment and stuff in the workplace. Sometimes things that we're not even noticing directly because we're so used to it, we become desensitized to it. And so it's like that on top of just the normal struggles that you have when you work full time. So yes, I totally appreciate that. And I hope you guys know that I'm here for you too. I have certain topics that I share on the channel, but please know that you can pretty much ask me anything on here. Like if there's ever anything I can help with, information, connections, like add me on LinkedIn, add me on, social apps. I'm not the quickest on Twitter. So if you add me on Twitter, just know I'm not normally on there, but otherwise I'm pretty much on other platforms and I'm now on TikTok. So yeah, I've got a total of, I think, 6 or 7 videos. So making strides, Cassandra says, I do believe hiring managers discriminate for their own personal reasons that may not be related to the job. The excuse used is the person is not the right fit. I hear and have heard the person's not the right fit or they're not the right culture fit so many times. Generally, for women, I've heard a lot of like, they don't have this specific skill or they don't have this whatever they're not technical enough, or they either they came off too strong or not aggressive enough sometimes, depending. So I've heard a lot of different things, and yeah, it's interesting. I will say generally though, if the hiring manager is open to diversity and they're the one actually bringing up diversity, that typically goes by way better because I can then use what they've said during our initial meeting and say, hey, you said diversity was important. You want, certain people on your team. And I can remind them of that when we're going to that point of who's going to actually interview. And then later, who are we actually going to hire? So I think it can be really beneficial for certain groups because some companies are saying like, look, we are going to have these diversity goals and we're going to do it. While other companies are saying, they have these diversity goals, and we're going to make strides towards hiring these people. And it's just like, no, just hire the people. The people are there. There are people. We just, use your recruiting teams to find the right people. It is our job to find you the right people. And if that means that we need to pull in diverse people, we pull in diverse people. And that can mean of different backgrounds. That can mean, different education, different skill sets, different ethnic diversity, different backgrounds as far as if they're a veteran, military, whatever. And you can have them cross over with each other. You could have, people from the LGBTQ community that are also Black. You can have people that are Asian that is also a veteran. You can have all these things. So I don't think we should be solely just looking at one thing either. And even people with disabilities or differently abled people. There's just so many different buckets. But I feel like these spaces need to become more diverse than they are right now. Way more. Let me see here. Greetings. Oh, Shar came in here. Hey, how are you? It is nice to see you. I appreciate you being here. Oh, okay. Bern says her dad is 91 years young. Oh my gosh. Well, that is fantastic. I'm going to do a hand clap to Bern's dad as well. That is amazing. Again, the golden years. That is beautiful. When's your dad's birthday? That is fantastic. Love hearing that. And then Bern, does your dad plan on getting the vaccine? Like, how is he in a place where he feels like he needs to? And yes, Sharky, Bern, that is awesome. Yes, it's a blessing. It is a full blessing. He still jogs every day at 91 years old. What? Oh my goodness, that is definitely a blessing. That's amazing. Amazing. And I see Sharky saying the same, Bern, that's amazing. I want to get back into tennis so I can live as long as him. Yes. Oh, Cassandra, you're following me on Clubhouse. You know what's crazy? And I see you, Ryan. You said June 17th, so he's got a birthday coming up. Okay, so with Clubhouse, guys, look. First of all, I have invitations on Clubhouse, and I think I have maybe 4 left. So if someone wants to be on Clubhouse and you do have an iPhone, let me know so I can send you the invitation to join. I think you still do have to have an iPhone. I don't know if it was Sharky. Someone reminded me of that. It might have been you, Sharky. But yes, you do have to have an iPhone. But it's a cool space. You don't have to get on camera and talk. You just have your avatar, your photo up, and it's kind of like a podcast, but interactive. So someone will have like a room, you'll chat, almost like a networking even. So you'll chat about different topics. Now, I've said on this channel, when it comes to Clubhouse, you hear some interesting things. So I don't know, Cassandra, if you like Clubhouse or not. I deleted the app just because I was kind of over it for a bit, but I see the value of Clubhouse. I heard a lot of great conversations on Clubhouse, but I just don't understand how people are on there all the time. And I really haven't really found a way to really market myself on there because I don't want to be on Clubhouse for like 5 or 6 hours. Like you can literally go on Clubhouse, join a conversation, put your phone down, leave and do all kinds of things for like 3 or 4 hours, come back, and there will still be people talking on there. And it's just like, how? Like, do you guys have jobs? Like, I don't understand. I've joined them during the middle of the day, morning, night. People are on there like all day. I'm just like, how much money are you guys getting paid to be on Clubhouse? I don't understand. Because I know people are getting paid, but still, just like, geez, at least I will say with YouTube, it's not super common to see people just live all of the time. It's more common to see someone maybe post a video once a day, or maybe someone like, you guys know, Boyce Watkins, I do follow, and he does post multiple times throughout the day, but he has multiple channels. Or like certain people, like they'll go live once or twice a day. And I think that's cool, but like to just have an ongoing, pretty much all day thing. And not only that, but you have these different people come up and join the conversation. And it's not like they're really giving a lot of value. Not everybody. Some of them come up there and they're just like, yeah, I'm a producer slash model, Instagram influencer, and I'm also a yoga instructor, and I make these products. And, I'm all about self-love. And, I just wanted to come up here. And you'd be like, what are you talking about, sir? Like, what are we talking about? Like, did you have a point? And these happen on the Bitcoin discussions because you guys know I'm into Bitcoin. I invested last year. It was just like someone told me to do it. I invested, and I've been really interested ever since. Talked to a family member about it who said he had been investing in it for years. And so I was like, yeah, why not? And he described it to me as like steak dinner. Like if you're going to spend $100 on a steak dinner, you're going to eat the food anyway. And that's a 100% zero return on your money. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's you're taking a shot, and it could go really bad, or, it could go to zero, or it could go really well. So either way, if you invest that same amount of money, you have a chance of you getting some high returns on your income. And so I keep thinking about things that way when it comes to Bitcoin. But anyway, I normally would join those discussions. And even in those conversations, like it's finance, you got all these finance leads, people that are super passionate about Bitcoin. People come up there and they're like talking. And it's just like, and I remember this one guy was just like, oh, so what's your question, man? And this guy's like, oh, well, yeah, no, I didn't really have a question. I just, I just wanted to come up here. And I was just like, okay. So you do have some folks, discussion like that happens, but all around, it's pretty cool. So I would try to get on there more. And of course, if you know someone that needs an invite, just let me know, like send me a note on either IG or on here or something. And I'm happy to share an invitation. And happy early birthday to your dad. I will say that 17 is a good number. Sharky says, yep, I believe Clubhouse is still incompatible with Android. Aw, I don't know why they do that. Like, I don't know if they think if it's like a technical issue, it's just not available on Android yet. Can't even say the word. Team Apple over here, just by default. Or if it's like they want it to be super exclusive, right? And so they only want iPhone folks, or you have to get an invite. Like it's kind of like, the more exclusive something is, the more you want to be in. I don't know. That's how I think of it. I would think of it as like, oh, it's exclusive. I want to try this out. Cassandra says, jogging at 91. I need to level up, right? We all do. Cause I do not jog. You guys saw me. I don't know. Some of you might've saw me on that one video where I was walking through the walking trail. And I still do that, but yeah, I'm walking. I'm not running. I don't like running. I really don't. And funny thing is I did run track in high school for a little period of time, and I didn't even like it. Like I think I only did it because I thought it was going to look good. Well, one, the track coach at one high school would always track me down. He was also my physics teacher, and he would ask me to join. And I was just like, no, I'm not fast. I walk fast to the class, but it's because I'm normally running late. And at that time I actually used to walk fast naturally. But I had to move, and then I was at a new school. And then these ladies of the lady coaches of the track and field team asked me about it. And then some girls were asking me about it. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. You guys can see that I cannot run, and let's get this over with. But then also too, I thought it would look good for college, like the more things that you join. So there were a couple of things in high school that I joined just because I was like, yeah, it'll look good for college. So very motivated. I was like, yeah, this is literally just so this can look good on my college application. Like that's it. But yeah, I was in some good shape. So I am sure, Vern, your dad is in great shape being a runner. But yeah, I sprained my ankle and couldn't run. And I was just like, you know what? I did one event and I came second to last in that event. And I hated it. I shouldn't say hated because that's a strong word, but I just did not enjoy track and field. And so I was just like, I'm done with this. I was so done. But since I technically did it, I can put it on my college application. A mess. But that was seriously why I did it. I actually like Clubhouse. I am an upcoming loan signing agent. Hey, I'm doing all kinds of claps in here. Yes, congrats to Cassandra. So I'm on there gaining additional knowledge. Yes, I think it is a great place to get some knowledge. It's a great space too to just talk with like-minded people. You can find a room for, I feel like, pretty much everything, and you can meet some cool people, like people that you would have never thought you would actually talk to. And there's celebrities on there too as well. So it is cool. I definitely like the concept of it. I might have just gotten overwhelmed too, because I was on Clubhouse, I was trying to do Instagram, I was trying to do YouTube, I'm trying to, do all these things. I'm just like, one of these has got to go. Something's got to go. So I'm still on Clubhouse, but I haven't actually started a room or anything. I don't know. Cassandra, do you think it would be do you think you would join one of my Clubhouse rooms if I was chatting about a subject? And if so, what type of subject would you be interested in talking about on Clubhouse? So I see a lot of, obviously I see a lot of Bitcoin, I see a lot of investing, I see a lot of spiritualistic conversations on there. And I see some career conversations on there. What else do I see on there? Kind of random celebrity chats too. Some of these rooms are right, that part. So some of those rooms be ratchet. I had to say it like that. Talking about all kinds of things. I exit out of the ratchet rooms immediately. Every time I hear the word ratchet, I hear that song. It's like, she ratchet, she ratchet. Terrible. This is Jessica After Dark, guys. It's not, professional me. So yeah. Although I would say professional me is pretty close to regular me. I just probably wouldn't say the word ratchet. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I haven't come across anything too bad. But if you want to see a platform that can be ratchet, you should try. I don't know if it's pronounced Bigo or Bigo, Bigo, that platform. So I joined it and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, but it's a lot of stuff going on. But then, just some of the conversations just are interesting. You can find some cool people on there all across the world, but it's just interesting. I used to be on this platform, the social platform called High Five. And it was because I was living in Spain at the time. And a lot of my Dominican friends were telling me to get on High Five. And recently I started getting notifications about High Five. And I'm like, there are just too many platforms. This is enough. I am not adding one new thing on my phone. This is enough. It's almost overwhelming at some point, I don't know if anyone else has felt fatigued just by the amount of social media stuff and the amount of apps and just the amount of news and just the amount of just all the content that you come across. Kind of getting overwhelming. Sharky said, Cassandra, that reminds me of the old AOL chat rooms. Sharky said that before, and I never had an AOL chat room. So yeah, the only thing I remember having was what was it called? It was called Bebo or Bigo, something like that. Oh, let me see if I can look it up. But it was called I think it was Bebo. Social. It was right before Facebook. Was I in middle school? Might have been in middle school. That's crazy. Yeah, it was Bebo. This guy. Wait, let me see. No, this. Yeah, this. It was kind of like a MySpace. I also had MySpace. So yeah, MySpace, Bebo. And I didn't do much on Bebo because Like with Bebo was Facebook, and then I just joined Facebook, and MySpace went away, and it was all about music. I was on MySpace a lot either, but I was on there just for the music. But yeah, I think I was either middle school or high school, or like in the middle of that. So yeah, but I don't remember AOL. That's probably the earliest social media I remember. So it's crazy that we've had social media for that long. Like literally, I was a kid growing up with social media and had a phone, and I don't know. It's crazy now to me when I hear like people older than me say they didn't have a phone when they were growing up as kids. I'm like, what? How did your parents keep up with you? It's just like, what? But it's almost like a nice privilege, even like, oh my gosh, a world where I don't have a phone, I'm not always connected. That's actually like they actually have places now where you pay to be disconnected. I remember Lupita Nyong'o, she talked about doing that, like a retreat where you're disconnected, and it's this great thing, right? Yeah, so it's crazy how the world changes. And so now it's like I kind of want to be disconnected in a way. I didn't see the rest of that. Wait a minute, Sharky. There were some great ones and some that were just whack. That's funny. And hello, welcome in, Zero. Welcome to the chat. Hey, beautiful, and greetings, everyone. Hey, Zero. And how are you doing this week? That is, I'm trying to ask everybody as they come in because there's a lot going on. So how is it going? How are you feeling? Are you good? Are you cool? Are you calm, collected? All of that good stuff. Sharky said some of those rooms be pretty ridiculous. I need to look back on there. Yeah, it's a lot. It's just a lot. Well, with a new app too, you're going to get all kinds of people. And the interesting thing is, and actually, because I've been talking about Boyce Watkins a lot, he pointed this out. The app has made millions of dollars, but I don't think it really became popular until the celebrities started getting on there and a lot of Black people started getting on there. And really sharing about and made, Clubhouse this cool thing to do. But I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like there are a lot of Black people on there. Now, when you go to the more like Bitcoin conversations, there's a lot more of, a more diverse crowd. Like everybody's on those conversations, but you'll see slightly more older crowd, more professional. So if you do any investing ones, most of the time, those are cool. The career conversations are cool. And, you get a mix of it all. Like if you join any spiritual conversations, you're just going to get it's going to be a mix of everything. Yeah. Bebo and MySpace were the forerunners of Facebook and all that have followed. Yes, exactly. And do you guys remember Napster? Where you had like all the music, and now we have Spotify. Isn't that crazy? Like Apple basically took that idea and now we have like Spotify and all these other things, and Napster is gone. Like, I don't even know where the creator of Napster is. It's just like, it's crazy. It's almost like either bad timing. So sometimes the first like company to do something, it isn't the, one that actually wins in the long term. Bebo, yeah, I knew what you were saying. I knew Sharky, what you were saying. King of Kill says, I think about GPS and wonder how people travel without. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Between myself and my brother, like we would not probably get anywhere. I think I'm a little bit better than he is actually. Because I can still, like, I remember landmarks a lot of the time if I'm traveling, and so I'll know. But yeah, like to think about, you go everywhere, right? And so if someone took my GPS away and was like, here, you can use this map, I'd be looking at them like they're absolutely insane. Like, are you crazy? I'll read this map. But I mean, it is a map, but it literally, you don't even have to read it as a map so much. It's like, it talks to you, it tells you exactly where you're supposed to go. Although, am I the only one that always thinks that the GPS is trying to trip you up and make you like get lost or something, because I feel like it always says to make a turn either right when you're on like that street or right as you pass up the street. And it's just like, turn right on Cartwell. And you're like, I just passed. You mean that street that I just passed? Thanks. Thank you. Great. But yeah, I think for the most part, GPS systems are great. And you know what's interesting? I was talking about the AI robots and everything. There were a lot of jobs that came up. One of my friends was actually looking into some of them, but what is it called? I think it's called geospatial. Let me look it up. Geospatial. Yeah, there are jobs in geospatial, like intelligence, or it's also GIS. And you can find a lot of jobs that are GIS specific. And those are the geospatial, because if you think about all of the AI intelligence and how things are constantly changing, like we're constantly building new things. I don't think that's going anywhere. There's always going to be construction. We're always going to be building. We're always going to be creating new things, taking down certain things. And so as you think about all those things that change, whether it's people, whether it's robots, all of that stuff has to be updated. All of these different maps, what's where, and, so those jobs actually do pay well. And there's a lot of them popping up, and they're just called geospatial. You can find, analyst jobs, technical jobs, more of the soft skills type of jobs too, like in business development and stuff. But there's a lot of different companies that are focused on that. And then even with the government. So that can be, and a lot of times those are remote jobs too. So virtual work, right? Because I know I told you, I know I put in the title, companies that are hiring, but that's one job that I would say, as far as AI, we're gonna need it for sure. Let me see here. Sure, if you create a room, I would be a part of it. The subject, I would have to think on it. It looks like you have some of your moderators in the chat now. Hey. Oh, I have a couple of different, okay, cool. Okay, I will have to think about it too. I'll have to think about some topics. And then what I'll do, Cassandra, is I will put out a poll on YouTube and see who's on Clubhouse already, and then what type of topics they'll be interested in. And then I could go ahead and move forward with my first Clubhouse chat. And thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I will tell you, I deleted the app and I was like, forget about Clubhouse. But I mean, it's a good platform. It's a nice way to reach new people too. Zero said, I remember what life was like without cell phones and social media, and outside was the place to be. Yeah, when I was a kid, like before middle school, well, kind of. It was like you go outside and you play, but then at the same time, a lot of kids just stayed inside and did video games. Like one of my friends, she would do a lot of video games. And yes, a girl doing video games. And so I started doing some of the video games too. But yeah, we would, like, our parents would tell us to go outside sometimes. But my mom wasn't as much of a go outside person. It was just more of like, if I'm maybe watching too much TV or playing some game, then that's when it's more like, you need to go outside. But for the most part, she was pretty much fine with me being inside, like, act like a lady, don't be doing all this wild stuff, is what she would say sometimes. And I'm doing better. You guys definitely, like, having this chat. I'm glad I still came online tonight, because I was feeling a little bit down just with, I think when things are happening, like big things are happening, and negative things are happening, sometimes I can get a little emotional. So I think that's it. But I'm glad you're doing well, Zero. I'm so glad you're doing good. Cassandra says, without GPS, I would probably use MapQuest religiously, or I would just get lost along the way. Right, you just figure it out. You get lost, you know not to go that way again. No, I get it. I'm the same way. We're kind of conditioned to use GPS. Kind of like, if you had to recall one of your friend's phone number, can you remember the phone number? because we don't have to remember phone numbers anymore. We put it into our phone, we save the contact, and then that's it, right? We're done. We're done. We don't have to remember a lot of things. You don't even have to do a lot of math in some ways. Like, remember you would have like a calculator, like simple calculators in classrooms. I don't know. Hopefully kids still can only have a simple calculator, because with, the fancy ones, you don't really have to know anything. You just put it in the calculator and it does it for you. Or you could even put it into Google and it does the calculation for you. The kids today, they've already got it easy. They can just cheat in all kinds of ways, especially they're like, working, but they're in school virtually. They're probably finding all kinds of ways to cheat. They're like, yeah, I can just put it in this app and it does it for me. And then I can take my test. So who knows? I think that's interesting. I do wonder if kids are really learning from home or if they're kind of taking the easy way, especially if the parents. That's why a lot of time I say, like, I think there should be a parent that, focuses more on the home and the kids, especially if they're working, full time. They can't really watch the kids so much, can't really check in and see what Timmy is doing in his room during school time. So I don't know. I wonder. Yes, I remember Napster just disappeared into thin air, right? They just disappeared. Just poof. Like, what happened to these folks? And it was cool. I mean, we pretty much have the same concept, except, I think obviously the artists now, they get a cut of the pay. Before, I think it was free, completely free. But yeah, they just pretty much disappeared. King of Kills says we learned how to read paper maps and we survived just fine. Also, AAA had a service called Triptych, and they mapped the best, fastest route for you. Really? I never even heard of that. AAA had an Triptych. Huh. And so they did the work for you. So they basically acted, it sounds like, as the GPS. So they mapped out your trip and you just have to follow that route. That's cool. But here's the thing. Here's what happens and why I think GPS is so great is that, well, one, you do have to have internet connection. Because have you ever been on a road trip and then you lose internet connection and everything just goes blank? But I always do keep screenshots of where I'm going, and I note the major highways. So that way I know that I have to, merge at this one and merge on that one or whatever. And I generally try to look at, how long I'm going to be on a certain route. But it is a little shaky when you see the GPS go out because you're in this remote area with no internet connection. So that's a downside of the GPS. But then the other thing is like, okay, when you pass up something or you miss over a route, well then if you have it pre-mapped out for you, you don't really have the other alternatives. So I don't know, maybe they did have alternative routes for you, but that would be my issue of like, I missed the exit. Now what do I do? So now I got to like go all the way around, but then maybe I get lost in the process. So I don't know. That's where my mind goes when I think of like life without GPS. Sharky says Cassandra, Napster, and LimeWire. Oh, LimeWire. Yeah, I remember that. They were sued out of existence. Oh no, they lost all their money. Oh, that's sad. But I can kind of get why. Like, yeah, I mean the artists do have to be paid, but I don't know if like Apple Music, do they pay the artists that much? I feel like a lot of artists were already upset with Spotify and Apple. That's kind of why Tidal came into the picture, Jay-Z's company, because artists got paid more if they're on that platform. So I don't know. Interesting. I don't know all the details about it, but I know there was some controversy about Apple Music. And like, I think Taylor Swift was one that was like, don't put my music out there. And, she didn't want her music there. But I think it was because they weren't getting enough money, which I get it because you're making this content. Because now that, I'm like on YouTube, I kind of get it because certain videos, like I'm editing some of these videos, I'm just like that reaction video, the amount of time that reaction video took I was like, why is this taking so long? But like, if you think about music videos and all of that time and energy that these folks put their heart and soul into, And then for it to just be, out there and they're not really getting all the pay that maybe they deserve. And a lot of, everybody else gets their cut, and it's just interesting. So I feel for them for sure, especially like the private artists or the smaller artists that aren't, as mainstream too. Zero says or asks other people for directions. So here's the thing. This happened to me in New York. I remember I was actually going to an interview. This was one of the interviews I was talking about in the video I did about like when you have like a dinner interview. Well, it was a breakfast interview, and I was offered the job, but I was trying to find this place. And in New York, you take the trains, and the restaurant was in a mall in Manhattan, and it was like near Columbus Circle. And I was just like, where is this restaurant? So I actually asked a group of police officers, and they didn't give me the right like they told me and I was like, this is definitely not it. And then I asked this older man, like he was like, he made conversation with me somehow. And I was like, yeah, I'm looking for the yada yada, whatever restaurant. And he's like, oh, it's over this way. I'm walking this way. You can walk with me. I'm like, okay. And so I'm walking with them, and I have my phone. So I'm looking at the GPS. I'm like, this does not seem right. And so I was like, oh, well, thank you. I think I'm going to go this way. And so I walked on this street, and I saw this security officer outside of this hotel, I think it was. And it was a black guy. It was just a black security officer. I was like, I'm just gonna ask him. And he told me it was in the mall. I was like, finally. So I had to ask like 3 people to get to to actually get to the person that actually knew where in the world I was supposed to go. So the security officer saved the day. I was just like, and you know what? That's interesting. Security officers, I remember at my first company, the security staff, they would see everyone, obviously they came in and out, and they would tip me. They would like give me the scoop, like between the security and the receptionist, because when someone would enter the building, they would sign in at the security desk, and then they would go up to the receptionist, and then the receptionist would call me and let me know the candidate had a ride for their interview. And between the security and the receptionist, they would give me the scoop on whether this person had a chance or whether they didn't. Like that, I remember the receptionist was like IM me sometimes and would be like, yeah, this one isn't gonna make it, doll. She always called me, like she called everybody babe or doll, or I think it was mainly babe or doll, and she was just the cutest thing. Older lady, blonde, like bleach blonde hair, always tan, always going on vacation, but just very sweet. And so she would always give me the scoop. And then we had the security staff, which were made up of a lady, and then there was this guy that normally worked as a security staff. But they would typically give me the scoop on like, honey, like one lady, she'd be like, honey, this girl was wearing I would just be like, no, I told you to dress professionally. How? Like I would always get annoyed when I tell the candidate, like I spent time with you and I told you, we talked about this. And then they would show up and it's just like, okay, just break my little heart. That's fine. But anyway, because when you're a recruiter, a lot of times you only talk to the person unless you do a video chat with them first. You don't really get to see them until they show up. And so you really don't know what you're getting, which can be a good thing, but it can also be like if I had seen something, or if I had seen that you were wearing this for this interview, I would have said like, make sure, I would have emphasized, like, make sure you were dressed this way. So I don't know. It's one of the downsides to like not seeing a person face to face. Cassandra says the GPS will have you on top of the car. Yes, I remember I was going to one place and the GPS literally told me I was on the highway, and it was telling me I have arrived. I'm like, what? What do you mean I've arrived? I'm getting off of an exit. What are you talking about? So yeah, some of the GPS. So this is why we need people to make sure those maps are updated. Because if you think about it, with the driverless cars, that's what they're going to be going off of. They're going to be solely going off of the map. They're not going to be able to, as much as we can, I don't think yet, be able to say, I don't think that makes sense. I think, I know this street, so I'm going to go down this street. I think it will take me there. You know how you figure out the shortcuts and stuff. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but that's a good industry. Oh, I got a little congratulations from Restream. I've received 100 messages through the Restream app. Yay. Okay, StreamYard doesn't do that. What's up with that? Cool. Okay, Restream. 1 point for Restream. Sharky says 0 exactly. And I'm just busting your chops a bit too. Wait, what are you guys talking about? You guys are going back and forth with the GPS. 0 saying, I think the GPS does try to trip you up sometimes. I'm like, what is this? You guys, sometimes I think, like, do you guys have a deal with the gas companies or what? Because you just made me go in this whole circle, and this is not where I'm trying to go. When did you do that, Sharky? You guys are funny. Back then, outside was life. If you couldn't go outside, it was torture. Yeah, I think especially for some kids. Yeah, for sure. You did not want to do that. I know how people literally traveled. I'm in my 30s, y'all. Ha ha ha. 30, team 30. Hey. Are you in your late 30s or early 30s? Hey, Probably Cloudy. What's up? Thank you for coming by. Yes, much love. My day was good. The week has been good. I've just been a little emotional lately, but I'm good. I'm happy. Thanks for stopping by. And you have come in the house before the street lights come on. That's true. You had to, yes, be back in this house before the street lights come on, for sure. Definitely heard that. Before smartphones, I had to either memorize numbers or write them down, right? Yeah, you just memorize it. Yeah, and now you don't have to memorize. You don't have to memorize it, but you do have to memorize other things. Like, we remember other things probably now, more so social content or your passwords. We have to remember like 15 different passwords. So I guess our memory is still decent, right? Because I feel like I have a million passwords that I have to remember. And then with work, you have to change them every 3 months or 2 months or something. And so it's like, just when I remember one really good, I have to change it to a new one. So it's, I don't know. I think that's crazy. 0, sorry, my bad. I was busting King of Kills chops about us OGs knowing how to read and orient a paper map. That's funny. You guys are funny. Hey, Ozzy Super World, welcome in here. Nice to see you. Hello. And how are you doing? How is everything going? How are you feeling? Everyone's welcoming him in. He or she in, because I don't know if you are he or she. I'm so sorry. Because I don't recognize you. But welcome in. Hope to see you here more often. And we can get to know each other. 0, my family never read any maps. We just had to either figure it out, ask for directions, or have someone tell you how to get there. Oh, you had to write it down or memorize it. Oh, trying to think. So with my trips, I'm trying to think about my dad. I don't think he used the maps so much, but we were normally going like to places he knew anyway. My mom didn't drive much, so my family never read any maps. We just have to either figure out. Yeah. Okay. I'm rereading the comment I read. Hey, Mr. Rise, welcome in. Ooh, sounds creepy. It was a little creepy. The older gentleman, I was like, but it was also like broad daylight. So I was like, okay, it's fine. Your informants was giving you the tea. They were definitely my informants for sure. So like when you work at a company, that's the thing about being in the office. With HR, we generally are connected with everybody in the building. So we know what's going on. We know we have different people telling us different information. So if something's going on, we try to keep tabs, especially, who always knows the tea is the security folks, because they see everything. They've got all the cameras, they're seeing it all. And then other folks that know are going to be the receptionists, because they see it all. It's their job to know what's going on in the office. So they always have the scoop. For sure. A Sharky's laughing. King of Kill says exactly mid-30s. Oh, okay, mid-30s. You are grown. Yeah, they definitely say 35 is definitely grown. That's cool. Well, you're in a good age group. That's cool. Let me see here. I have so many passwords. There's no way I can remember them all. I would just confuse myself. Right. I feel you. I feel the same way. Feel the exact same way. Too many passwords. But I have just hit the 2-hour mark, and as Restream told me, if I can find it, we hit 100 messages today with Restream. So we hit a milestone with, I don't know why I just said it like that, but we hit a milestone with Restream. So that's cool. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to come on here tomorrow. I might pipe up. I might not. I just don't know. It'll depend on how you're feeling. But I don't have too many topics to discuss. So really quick, I still have this page with Jeff Bezos up. It's just really crazy. But a couple of different companies that may be interesting to check out that I did see have been recently hiring a bit more, are definitely I'm just going to call them off because I have that in the title. I just want to make sure I hit on these. So some of the main ones are going to be the tech ones. So your Microsoft, your Facebook, your Salesforce, which have been in the news lately, and your e-commerce, so Amazon, and also Chewy, which is focused on pet food, like pet product delivery. They have been hiring a ton, and also GitHub and Dropbox have been hiring a ton because they're seeing more growth, as well as two technical companies. The other one I want to shout out is a company called Pathrise as well. So this one, again, in the tech space, they have been hiring a ton, and it's been remote. So all these companies have remote work options, which I think is pretty cool as well. And they're another one that's in the growth space. So they're growing companies, which is awesome because you can have promotion opportunities. And they all seem to have pretty good reviews on Glassdoor. The other big names that are starting to hire more are some of the retailers. So one of the big ones is Nordstrom. They're actually hiring more as well. They have high volume roles right now. Oracle as well has been recently hiring. And this company I need to look into, so I don't know much about their reviews or anything, but it's called Refraction AI. They're also hiring remote jobs as well. So those are a couple of companies that are hiring right now, just to give my quick update there. But there's plenty of them. Please do use LinkedIn, use Glassdoor. They provide a lot of updates on the job search. And then what was my other topic? I'm trying to make sure I hit on everything real quick. I think it was just one other thing I was going to talk about. Oh, recent news, which we covered that. So we have covered everything. Exactly. I'm 30s. I'm 35. Shout out to 35. When's your birthday, King of Kill? I have so many passwords. There's no way I can remember them all. Yep. Did I just see these? Oh my gosh, really? I'm not gonna put that up there. Because I remember LimeWire now. So LimeWire had the not just music. So it was very popular with us guys. I remember LimeWire, but I don't remember being on there. But I remember people talking about it. Maybe that's why they were talking about it. Interesting. I see what y'all doing, Sharky. But yeah, that's crazy. So all that stuff went away, and now we have basically the same thing, but it's just that the artists are getting paid, but I don't think they get paid significantly if they like just kept their own and maybe had their own platform. I don't know if anyone has Tidal, but I always thought that Tidal was supposed to be, you know, the best, I guess, streaming type of service for music that paid the artist, but who knows? I don't really know as much about it, and I don't use Tidal. I only have one, there's only one person I know that uses Tidal in my circle. July 15th. Oh, wait. What's that sign then? I don't know what that is. July. Wait, are you a Gemini? No, you're not a Gemini. July, what's your sign? Let me see. Oh, you're a Cancer. Oh. Oh, okay. So they say Cancers are loyal, protective, intuitive, and caring. So that's nice. On the bad side, I'm gonna leave that out. But that's cool. I don't know. I don't think I know anyone that's a Cancer. Or do I? Well, I know you, King of Kill. I'm trying to think of like in my virtually. Virtually, I know you. But like I'm trying to think of in my friends and family circle, I don't think I know anyone that's a Cancer. So I know sensitive. Are you sensitive, King of Kill? For like, I don't know. Men normally don't say, but I think men can be sensitive. I think men should be able to get out their emotions and things. Okay, I probably was into burning the CDs. Yes. Do you guys remember? Okay, I'm gonna close this up soon, but you guys remember like you would go to like the little stores and stuff, and there would always be a guy, or normally guys, selling these CDs, like every type of CD, every movie. It hasn't even come out yet, or like it just came out, and like they've got all the stuff. That was funny. That was always funny. Like I remember high school, we would get all these different, you have every different CD. So that was funny. And I even had an iPod, but you was still, so it was kind of like that time where you had the iPod and everything, but you still, would have people burning CDs. So it was funny. So it's like, why would you, like at that point, why would you buy the music? Because what I used to do, because I had an iPod, but I didn't even love the iPod so much because I also had an MP3. And so what I used to do was I would actually, this is so bad, but I would just convert the music over, right? So to the MP3, because it was the thing, that's what everyone did. So interesting. Why did I say it like that? Because so here's the thing. I've heard things about Cancers. And so that's why I was like, wait, let me look this up. Because I was like, I don't want to go off of what people say. Because people, they have this one experience with this one person, and they're like, I will never ever date a such and such, or these people were bad, and like, they have to group everybody. They're going to be exactly like that one person that you dated that happened to have a birthday in August or June or December or whatever. So anyway, I was like, I don't know much myself about a Cancer. I just don't. So I was like, let me look it up. And so I looked it up, and then I got like this article. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it said like the good, the bad, and the ugly on the personality traits. So I was like looking, and I was just like, oh, okay. Sharky says, Jessica, why were you upset, emotional? Was it what's happening in Minnesota, the Afghan announcement, or something personal? Okay, if you don't want to say. Honestly, it has been, so the heaviest thing for me, well, one, it's like my first week at a new job. So I'm already like, excited, anxious, and things like that. But then you guys know I saw the video of the veteran who was like inappropriately, I felt like, handled by the officers, especially, again, my heart goes out for people that serve the country and then they come back and then they're treated like that. And, obviously, I think he was Afro-Latina or Afro-Latino. And so that was already kind of like, ugh. And then the Minnesota thing, like the trial is already going on. And then we have this incident and it's like 25 plus year veteran doesn't understand the difference between a taser and a gun. So yeah, so that it's just a lot going on. And then you have like the vaccine stuff, you have just already the trauma that we're dealing with this cough situation. Then I just been thinking a lot about the fact that when I saw that veteran, the guy who was a veteran or is a veteran, actively serving, actually, I shouldn't say veteran, so he's in the military. The fact that I was watching the video and I was literally expecting for him to get shot. That was literally my feeling. As I watched the video initially, I was literally this was literally me. I was bracing myself, cringing, because I just knew in my heart that it was going to end badly. Even seeing that this was a veteran, even seeing that the guy had his hands out the window, even seeing all of that he was very respectful in asking, why are you treating me like this and all this stuff. So all of that was very tough to watch. And so I was already emotional from that. And then to see this instance where it's a child, in my eyes, like he's very young. So, early 20s, like, come on. And it's almost, I feel desensitized to it because it's like, it just keeps happening over and over and over. And even back in the day, people would make jokes about these situations. Black comedians would make jokes about you already know that you are like, this world tells us every day that you are Black. And what that means is not just that you are a beautiful human creation in this world. No, it tells you that you are Black and in this American country and in many places in the world even, but especially in America, you will not be treated equally, even if you pay the same taxes, even if you go to the right school, even if you work for your community, even if you serve your country, even if you're someone's daughter, even if you're someone's son, even if you're someone's parent, even if you're someone's uncle, aunt, whatever, even if you do what you're told, even though you know deep in your heart, a lot of times the reason why you're pulled over and you're treated a certain way, because you have to question it because of this history. Is it because I'm Black? That's not an unfair question to ask. When you're seeing, and you've seen throughout your lifetime pretty much, these reminders that you are not the same. You can do all of this stuff, but you're not the same as us and you don't get the same rights as us because of your skin tone, which you technically can't change. Like my genes, everything that makes me who I am, the melanin that I have in my body system, that is not going to go away. So because I have more melanin, and you see melanin everywhere. You see, in hair color, eye color, plants. It's like, it would be like me looking at a plant that has no color, maybe the white flower. I have carnations over there. They're actually dying. They're dying, but they're pink carnations. And it's like if I had pink carnations and I had the white carnations and I said, well, I'm not even going to give the pink carnations a chance. I'm just going to throw them away and keep the white ones because of the color. Like, we don't do those things. We don't look at dogs and say, oh, I want that black dog. I want the white one. Like, let's get rid of that. Like, I just don't get like how we can, as humans, we are human and we do these things to each other. But in other spaces, like in nature, you don't see that. Anyway, so that's why I was very sensitive. I'm getting a little emotional now, just thinking about everything. It's just, it starts to feel really bad when you start feeling like there is just no solution, and that it just continues. Like, there's no solution. It just continues. It just continues and it gets worse. And it's just like this continuous cycle. So that's how I feel. That's literally how I feel. I feel like I'm in this country and I don't have the same rights, and I don't fully think it would be, I think it is different in other countries. So I've actually, like, I look at my passport sometimes and I like have these moments where I'm like, maybe I should leave. Like, maybe I need to put a plan together to go to a different country. What country would I go to? I could go to Spain. I could reconnect with maybe my host mother in Spain and some of the people. Like, it was easier for me to meet people in Spain. But then you have this vaccination thing. So it's like, but then I'm going to have to get vaccinated. So it's like, it's weird timing. It's just weird timing and everything. But yeah, I have those instances where I'm just like, is the answer leaving the country and not having to, at least it's one thing you don't have to deal with as much. I don't know. It's a lot. So I think it was just kind of a, just like one thing built on the next thing, builds on the next thing, on the next thing. And so at some point you know, I'm probably going to have to just cry it out, to be honest with you, just to get some of that, you know, energy out. But yeah, it's just tough. It's tough to even think about. And, you know, plenty of people have been talking about it. It's all over social media. I posted a few things on my Instagram. And it's just, you know, I'm very solutions focused. I think about solutions, and it's just like, what's the solution? You know, what is the solution? I don't know. I don't know, other than every single Black person leave the country that we built. So that is how I feel about that. I'm going to read a few comments and then I'm going to get off because I am getting a little emotional. Sharky says, it's insane that Army officer is related to Eric Garner. It's like that family just can't catch a break. I did not know he was related to Eric Garner. That's crazy. But here, no, that family probably can't catch a break, and a lot of Black people in this country can't catch a break because, so I've told you guys, I have not had personally negative experiences with police officers. And I do think part of that is me being a woman. I don't, at least I would imagine most men would not, like, just looking at me physically, I would imagine most men, or women for that matter, would not think I'm a threat. But the fact of the matter is this, that my Black skin is in itself, just Black skin, is seen as a weapon, is seen as a threat, is seen as aggressive. So I don't know. And then, you know, when you think about Breonna Taylor, I mean, it was just bang, bang, shoot 'em up in her case. I mean, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, there's no solution. I just don't know what to do. So that's the tough thing, because when I look ahead to the future, like, I have not had incidents with officers, but who knows how long I'm going to live. And this is just one, you know, part of time. Who knows what the future may have in store. The other thing that's I've been getting a little emotional about too is just the fact that I do know that in certain areas of the country there is higher crime. And so, I've talked to a lot of officers because you guys know I recruited former police officers, and I've even heard from them. And a lot of people have left the force because they haven't said specifically, you know, it was because of everything that happened in Minnesota and then, what sparked the protests and riots and everything else to show how upset people were and that we needed change. But I don't, basically it was like they didn't feel like it was safe for them anymore. They needed to make a family decision and all this stuff. I don't see the solution with defunding the police either. I think there needs to be a lot more thought and effort into rebuilding a system that is inclusive of people like me, like Black and brown people, where everyone can feel safe. This is not, you can't just take money away and solve it. You can't just put money in and solve it. There has to be a full review, time and effort, just as much effort that was put into creating this type of system. It needs to be that type of effort to create a new system that includes, how do we keep people safe? And I don't think that is, having the option of having a gun to, a traffic stop. I just don't understand that. I don't understand it. I haven't worked in law enforcement, of course. I know they deal with a lot, but there has to be some type of, they've got to fix it to where, officers obviously can do their job while not terrorizing a community of people and also killing people of that community for a warrant, which can easily be paid. Or, X, Y, and Z, you name it, all these silly reasons that do not equate to a human life. I wish these same people that were so pro-life would be pro-life for every single human. Because these are some of the same folks that are, not understanding why it's so important to change the system to make sure people are not shot and killed in instances like this. It just doesn't make sense. If you're pro-life, you need to be fully pro-life. You need to be pro-human, everyone's life, not just a life that's not even yours. It has nothing to do with you and someone else's body. You need to be pro-life for everybody. So it's just been a lot. So, and you guys know, I'm a very deep thinker. So add on everything else that's happened and you get this, you get this kind of sensitive, emotional me. So there you go. That was a long answer. King of Kill, that's lovely. You plan to move to Africa by age 50. I think that's awesome. Yeah, I would love to retire by 40 and move somewhere. Maybe, I don't know if it's Europe or Africa. I would like to visit Ghana and Nigeria first, of course, to see how it is there firsthand. But yeah, definitely. I think that's an amazing goal. And I don't know. I think that could potentially be the answer. Maybe eventually we just all go back home, real home, and let this country, do what it wants to do. I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. Because I know some people don't like that idea either, because it's well, we built this country. This is our culture, and we built, X, Y, and Z here. But because not just as I fully understand how you feel, Jessica. Thank you. I didn't mean to upset you more, Jessica. Hugs all around. As I think I'm white, but I have been fighting for equal rights for over 30 years. So this 2021 racism crap drives me nuts. Well, I appreciate that, Sharky. And yes, I did learn that from, I still have that guy's image in my head, the Canadian actor. But yes, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I know it's And I hope I don't always come off as like, okay, I'm always talking about Black issues, but I am a Black woman, so when issues come up, I'm going to talk about them. But yeah, I know it's not one group of people that's like anti. I just wish we would all come together, like you're saying. I just wish we would just get over it already, because could you imagine if we weren't so divisive and had all these things that don't matter, how far we could get, how much good we could do in this world. But it's just, I don't know, can't get past it. Sharky says, King of Kill, believe it or not, one country I would consider moving to would be South Africa. South Africa. I don't know if I would move to South Africa. I would have to visit. I would definitely have to visit because I know they have had plenty of issues. If I moved to African country, I think I would have it to be, no offense, Sharky, but I think I would want to live in an environment for once where, like majority of people look like me. I would like to experience that. Yeah, I would like to experience that. I don't know if I would stay there forever, but who knows? I may love it. I've never had that type of experience before, so I think it would be good to, experience it. Ideally, I think we would live in a world where you have tons of diversity because we get a lot from that. The fact that we can experience so many different cultures just by stepping outside and going to, a different restaurant or going to an event or going to a play or going to an art, exhibit or et cetera. I think all of that is fantastic, but I think I would like to be in an environment where it's like, a healthy environment where a lot of people look like me. And I know there are different segments of the country that are like that. Like in Houston, you can find different communities. Even here in Dallas, I think you can find some communities that are, doing well and people all look the same. What the media isn't talking about is that some police officers are actually killing whoever they want, not just Black people, and getting away with it. Oh, I'm glad you bring that up. And that's why I think it's a system thing. We need to change the system. We need to change the system. Like, it's the fact that you can misjudge a taser from a gun. And I was listening to the parents this morning. I think that also got me a little emotional to see the mom, and they're saying like, well, okay, that's an accident, but my son is never coming back. And they were saying, he had a smile that lit up the room and he was this and this. And that's what we have to think about. This is a human life. I don't think other humans necessarily have the right to take someone else's life. Of course, I know we have instances of war and things like that, but just, on a day-to-day, like why? I don't understand. A lot of stuff, a lot of bad things were brought. Like I kind of wish we could go back to living like the natives live and Aboriginals live, because, when we brought these things like guns and nuclear bombs and all these different ways to destroy each other, like, where are we gotten from it? I just, obviously I'm going probably too deep, but it's just, we need to get back to basics. Like, we're destroying the earth, we're destroying ourselves. And it's just a lot. Zero said exactly zero, says Sharky. Sharky says zero exactly. Okay, I think this is going to be the last comment I'm going to read for the night. Zero said, my best friend has been thinking about moving to, Fuji Islands? Is it Fuji or Fiji Islands? One day because of it's a Black country where he could live comfortable. Really? Fuji or Fiji? Wait, I have to look it up. Fuji. Oh, so I searched Fuji and it brought up Fuji film. That is not what I'm looking for. Yeah, okay. So you're saying Fiji, Zero? I think you're saying Fiji. So it's in the South Pacific, which I do want to visit Fiji. I didn't know. I didn't realize that. Cool. I didn't know that. I'll have to look into that. Um, it's like islanders, right? It's like indigenous people, I think. So yeah, I guess, yeah, yeah. So indigenous, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do want to visit Fiji. The same name as the water they sell. Yes, Fiji. Yeah, I be a little bougie sometimes. I do drink Fiji water. I know it's bad, but it's good water. It's so good. And then the other one is Icelandic. Icelandic and Fiji water is just so good. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Okay, so I'm going to close it out. Mr. Wise, I am doing well. Thank you for asking me that. And I appreciate everyone being here tonight. Yeah, I don't know when my next live stream is, so just kind of keep an eye out. And you know that I try to post on the community tab when I'm going live, and then I also try to post on my social tab when I remember on like Instagram. So if you're not connected to Instagram, these are my handles up here. So it's Miss Jessica Crystal. If you're interested in just what I got, like if you're just interested in what in the world is Jessica doing today, that's the one you would join, Miss Jessica Crystal, or what does Jessica think about this? Or if you just want to contact me for something. Jobs from Jess is more of the channel I'm trying, or my social media I'm trying to build out a little more to focus on job related content. So if I am going live, I do try to post there. I'll just normally put in my stories like, hey, I'm going live, or I will put an actual post on IG. So I might do it either way. But yeah, I definitely hope everyone is doing well and, you know, of a good mindset, continuing to stay positive. I have to remind myself, you know, this is a day where I'm just kind of a little down because I'm not seeing the solutions, but you know, I'll bring myself back to my positivity and all of that good stuff. I try to stay, hopefully this wasn't a downer conversation. I still try to be lighthearted. Generally, that's just my personality, but you know, things get to me sometimes too. It gets to me. And so on this channel, I'm just not going to, I'm not a type of person that can easily just get on camera and be like, hey guys, da 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 da, we're gonna talk. Like, you know, some people you see on YouTube, they're always the same way and they're always like super bubbly and everything else. No, you're gonna see, this is like how I am. So that's just what it is. Okay, guys, you guys know I said 0 was going to be the last one, but this is a good comment, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Sharky. Check out the Mariana Islands too. Guam and Saipan, you're still technically in the U.S. because they're territories, but it's a whole different culture than the mainland. Oh, okay. I will. Thank you, Sharky. Yeah, because I've been thinking about like I might need to go somewhere like legit, especially like to just retire and live a chill life and not have to worry as much. I love that. You are funny, 0. You are funny. I love Janet Jackson. I like the way you post in your community tab because I never get to notification. Oh, okay, good. Well, I will keep doing that, Mr. Wise. Perfect. Okay, perfect. And then Cassandra had a great idea of moving to Clubhouse and doing some chats on Clubhouse. So I will be putting something out in the community tab. I'll just do a poll and just to understand who's on Clubhouse, because I definitely don't want to do something if not too many people are out there. But I could always do something if at least a couple of people are on Clubhouse. And then I will post something just to kind of see what people would even want to have a conversation with me about. And we can just go from there. But yeah, guys, again, as always, I appreciate you guys being here, especially tonight. This was a night where I definitely needed someone to talk to, I guess. I definitely needed to just get some things out. So I appreciate everyone. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate the good questions, good commentary, all of that. So perfect. Did I say something about retirement? One day, Harold, I will retire. I want to retire by 40. I like to retire by 40. That's my goal, is to retire by 40. I don't know if it's really going to happen, but that's my goal for sure. Okay. If you need an invite, Mr. Wise, let me know. Hit me up on IG, which again, info's right here. If you need a Clubhouse invite, because I do have a couple. I think I'm at 4. I have 4 Clubhouse invites, so feel free to let me know. Oh, good. Thank you, Cassandra. I appreciate that. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And Harold, we are wrapping things up, but I appreciate you being in here. I will catch you on my next live chat, and I hope you are doing well. I've been asking everyone as they came in how they were doing, so I hope you are doing well. And with that, I will. Oh my goodness, Harold, you're 60 and haven't hit that mark yet. You'll get there, Harold. We're gonna figure out this retirement game. Even if it's gotta be like semi-retired. Okay, invite you. Okay, send me a note on IG because there is some information I need. Like, I think I need either your Clubhouse name or your phone number, and then I can send you an invite. Alrighty, lovely people. Again, appreciate you as always. Enjoyed the conversation. Definitely feel more positive vibes through the chat. I feel the love. So I will see you guys next time, and I hope everyone is staying safe and being careful and, staying positive and all of that good stuff. And I will see you guys in another video. Bye.